are you expecting?
Welcome back to the ReInvent Health podcast. It has been a very long time since I last recorded an ep, and this is because my life has been taken up with my new YouTube series and podcast, South African Food Stories. So if you haven't checked it out yet, please go and find it on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and of course, please subscribe. It is so good to be back, and today's conversation is all about skin, but not in the way you're used to hearing about it. I'm joined by Dr. Joan van Wyngaard from Vitant, a scientist, a pharmacist, and a formulator who has built an entire skincare philosophy around one core idea: your skin is an ecosystem. With a master's in pharmacology, an MBA, and a PhD, Joan challenges the status quo. Her work focuses on the skin microbiome, how to restore it, support it, and ultimately use it as the foundation for healthier, more resilient skin. This conversation cuts through the clutter of the 10-step routines that we all see on social media as we unpack what your skin actually needs, why less is often more, and how a microbiome-driven approach might be the missing link in your skincare. Joan, skincare has become completely overwhelming. Why are we overcomplicating something that should be really quite simple?
Yeah, I think there's like so many players that come into the market, and I think the consumers, the shift has actually been with the consumers. People are tired of empty promises, they are tired of products that don't work, and that's why there is a complete shift currently towards science, real effects. So even though the market is so saturated, people are now, we live in this information technology stage, so people can look for information. So they're not satisfied anymore with just marketing answers, So I think it definitely made people up their game a little bit as well to make sure that people are very educated these days. So that changes the landscape quite considerably.
It really does. And I think we've become quite savvy, and we know when we're being sold to. We know when something's over glamorized and we don't believe it as much as we might have a couple of years ago.
Yes, yeah, I listened to this very interesting video on LinkedIn from one of the raw material manufacturers where they actually looked at some stats where they said 90% of females don't believe at all anymore that their cosmetics are working, and I think that is definitely true. People are getting to a stage where they want more, they want real results.
So, Joan, let's step back, and I'd love to talk about how you got into this industry. Who are you? I mean, you've got qualifications and accolades that are a page long. You're a scientist, you're a PhD, you have an MBA. You really know your job. How did you get into the market of skincare?
Yeah, so it was actually by chance. So I'm a supplement formulator. I think one of my big passions is supplements. I'm very active as well. So I am a scientist. I love studying. I love researching. And supplements has always been my forte. I've worked on big brands before, working on the formulas, looking at the ingredients, assessing the science. And a couple of years ago, a doctor friend of mine, and he's sort of like a father figure to me, said to me, but can't you just work on cosmetics that's affordable and that actually work? And I do a lot of road running, and as I'm running, I'm chatting to my friends, telling them, I think it came naturally to me to sort of like move into skincare because it's the same principles. You work with all the raw material suppliers, you look at the science, and I understand the science. So you've got a way of scrutinizing, looking at the ingredients, looking at the science, seeing what makes sense. And as you say, skincare is so overcomplicated, but in the end, the basics have stayed the same. There hasn't been major changes. So for me, it was just easy to transition into that. And from a formulation point of view, I'm always my own guinea pig. So I always formulate things that I use myself. So I only use my own supplements. I use my own skincare as well. So it was nice to be in this community of runners that, sort of like said to me, they motivated me, please hurry up. We're looking old. When are you going to be finished with this? And trying out prototypes, giving feedback, and sort of just motivating me to take it to the next level and to say, there is actually scope for something like this, especially amongst runners or active people. that are no nonsense. They want something that work and they want
Mm.
to trust somebody that's on top of the science. So yeah, it was by chance, but I think it's very similar to supplements and it's something that
It
I
is.
really enjoy working on.
And I love that you mentioned supplements because I mean, as a nutritionist, I'd say 10 years ago in my practice, I used to sell a lot of supplements, and it gets to a point where you've got to ask yourself what's really working. And there's maybe three things that
Mm.
really work well. There's three basics, and those haven't changed over the years. And everything else is just making life complicated and expensive. And by the same token, my mom was in the beauty industry, and we were inundated with products. There's always something new to try. And again, you eventually over time you ask yourself, well, what really works? Sunblock, retinol, and a moisturizer. And it's like you can't escape that. And everything else is just they don't really work as well as we expect them to work. So I think, this is the age of simplifying, of getting real, of asking the questions. And none of us can afford to just spend fortunes on supplements or even skincare anymore. So I love that approach. And also, looking at your website, your products are really so well priced and affordable. And I think, with whatever branch of health we're looking at, we've got to make it accessible to people.
Yeah, so I mean, I've worked in the beauty industry before, and I was actually appalled at how it works, how cheap the product is, and how they window dress it to be so expensive. And for me, because I'm a user of the product myself, I want it to be affordable. And I mean, we're all struggling. So my peers, we run, we work, we've got kids. A lot of us have got teenagers. That's very expensive as well. So you're the last person in line for anything. So you want something that's simple and that's actually going to give you those results because I mean, yeah, we're not so young anymore. So I think from that perspective is I wanted the end consumer to really benefit from the science and the products that I bring in, but it
Yeah.
also to be affordable to them. And because I was a supplement formulator, I'm used to interacting with suppliers, looking for
Yeah.
suppliers on LinkedIn, and I import the raw materials myself to cut costs as
Mm.
well. So you don't have, you know, additional holding fees and things, and all to make sure that these top-notch products are available to everyone.
Mm. What was the first product you formulated?
I started with the moisturizer. So I think the balancing moisturizer was probably the first one that I worked
Mm.
on. But, my range is a system. So I don't really
Okay.
believe in products in isolation. So I identified five ingredients that for me was a non-negotiable. So firstly,
Right.
I do believe in the microbiome. That
Yes.
is the way of the future. So what's good for your gut is good for your skin as well. And I love lactosporin, which is a postbiotic. It's got studies on acne as well as aging. So that was a non-negotiable for me. Retinol is also non-negotiable, as you mentioned before. It hasn't changed much, but I wanted a version that doesn't cause the redness and the irritation. I knew I wanted a strong antioxidant as well. As you say, SPF as well, broad spectrum UVA, UVB protection, and then the alpha hydroxy acids, but again, in a version that's not so harsh. So that was the five main classes of products that I knew that I wanted to put together in a combo. But later on, I simplified it even more because, like I say, I'm a runner and there's a lot of active people that are no nonsense. They want to know what I put on in the morning. That's, wash and one cream, wash and one night cream as well. So I wanted to make it so simple that if they use only those two steps, they are guaranteed of results. And all the creams have got the lactosporin in, which is then the postbiotic. And I've got a next generation retinoid that I import from overseas as well. It's biotech, microalgae based. It's proven to have the same efficacy as retinol, but
Mm.
without the redness and irritation. It only works on the receptors that gives you the efficacy. So, and then the vitamin B3 as well. So it's like a powerhouse. And from there onwards, people can just add what they need. And the range sort of like developed. Some of the top sellers was by chance. People would like mention something to me. Like a doctor said to me, listen, he does so much Botox. He wants something for his patients where that they can use in between their Botox sessions. So then the wrinkle relaxant was born. We have teenagers, like I say, my
Yeah.
age group. So, you know, the mom starts using the range, then her husband starts using it, and then the next question is, oh, can you help me with my teenager? He's got such a bad skin, and they don't want to put him on prescription medication. And then, yeah, with this whole collagen hype as well, a ex-boss of mine said to me, do you know that here in the UK they are injecting collagen into their face? And I thought, well, that's ludicrous. And then I
Yes.
looked for a collagen ingredient because part of what I also do is educating people because they see something like, okay, this product contains collagen, and then they think that's great, but collagen can't
Exactly.
penetrate your skin. So it's just like a hype. And but then I also found an ingredient which is your collagen peptides that actually absorbs with spermidine,
Yes.
and it gives you like instant hydration within 10 minutes. So the range sort of like expanded from there, and hair loss was added afterwards because I've got very fine hair myself, and I've also had some bouts of hair loss. I've got thyroid issues, etc. So it was basically to help myself. And then I found this ingredient that actually helps for premature graying as well as hair loss. And I
Wow.
thought, this is now a good combination. And subsequently, I've actually realized, so there's a big focus for me now on scalp care as well, because,
Right.
um, your great skin starts at your scalp and the health of your follicle, because I never realized how many people have hair issues. So
Yes.
it's suddenly within my brands, hair care is a big focus.
Yeah, I can imagine. So I've got a couple of questions for you. Something that I've pondered myself for years, and I've never really spoken to someone who can answer this for me. You often see products advertised that have vitamin C, and I've always thought I can understand the importance of an antioxidant when you consume it and you take it in supplemental form. But how does something like vitamin C, when you slap it on your skin, how does that make a difference? Does it make a difference? Is it just marketing speak? And the same goes for collagen. We spend a fortune on collagen powders, but does that feed the skin? I understand that in order to build collagen, we need to eat protein. We need amino acids, which the break down and that your skin creates collagen from protein. But how does it translate? Because I've always thought these things are 90% hype, maybe 10% efficacy. What are your thoughts around these foods that we put on our skin?
Yeah, so collagen is very important. From
Yeah.
age 25, you lose 1% of collagen a year. And the sagging and lines and aging and everything is due to collagen loss. And even if you just, like I said, I'm
Yeah.
very active. If you look at your joints and you look at your cartilage, one of the main
Yes.
constituents in your cartilage is actually collagen. So consuming collagen is
Mhm.
definitely something that you should do. But there are lots of collagens on the market, and that's why
Wow.
I've started doing master classes on a weekly basis as well to educate people. It's free, they can come listen. We've had one on collagen debunked, where I took them through the different types of collagen that you can. Let's start with the oral
Mm.
version that you can ingest, from hydrolyzed to unhydrolyzed, the dosages, the effects that it has.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, I believe an eggshell membrane, which is unhydrolyzed. It's type 1, 3, 5, and 10
Yes.
collagen, and it comes with studies. Like you said, how do you know it really works? Is you want it backed with studies, and it doesn't not just beauty, it's got joint studies as well, exercise recovery, your skin hydration, and everything as well. Collagen topically is a hype. It's a big molecule, doesn't absorb. But if you have collagen peptides, like what I've worked with now, that are vegan as well, and they are proven in vitro as well as in vivo to actually
Mm.
absorb and give you an effect within 10 minutes. So you have a short-term effect where you can see, wow, my skin looks nice and hydrated, but then long-term as well, where if you use it on a continual basis with the collagen, then it will definitely help. But retinol is still, even though it's not an actual collagen, it also helps with collagen formation. So I do think
Mm.
you still need your retinoid twice a day, and then
Mm.
you can add on these other things as needed. Then the vitamin C question is very interesting because actually tonight we're doing a masterclass on absorption issues and what to look for in formulations and things as well. And there is a patent on a vitamin C serum as well with L-ascorbic acid, ferulic acid, vitamin E as well. And I think the strength of this comes in the fact that we live in Africa. The sun is very hectic here. So if there's nothing else that you do for your skin, sunblock should be a non-negotiable because it definitely ages, the sun ages you tremendously. But where antioxidant serums come in is in terms of protecting you more against the sun. Because if you are outside and you are exposed to UVA, UVB rays, some free radicals are formed, and this vitamin C serums that people use will actually help to neutralize those free radicals and then just enhance the effect of the SPF that you have and make sure that there are not like unchecked free radicals that will cause some damage. So basically, very similar role that they would have on your skin than what they would have in your body. And vitamin C is also a cofactor for collagen or the collagen peptides to absorb. So that's why it's often part of the formulas as well. But yeah, I do think that a good antioxidant is good in terms of glow and brightening effects. But for me personally, the biggest effect is just protecting you from the elements, and it's got a sort of like an enhancing effect on your SPF. And that's the same for lactosporin, the postbiotic. That's why I love that ingredient so much. So it's got studies on acne, it's got studies on aging, and then it offers additional UV protection as well, which, is so important. Everyone is using AI these days, and they've got some of these programs where you can upload a picture and then you can see what you're going to
No.
look like in a couple of years if you don't use any SPF. And I think that is sort of like an eye opener. And for me, being so active as well, that's why it was easier for me to market amongst the runners and the active people because, you look at them and you think, wow, look how well they built. They're so fit and they're so strong. And sometimes you look at some of the people's faces and you think, oh my goodness, the sun has really gotten to them. They look at least 10 years older than what they are. So the idea is to look as good as you feel.
How important is what you put into your mouth? As important, if not more or equally as important as what you put on your skin?
Yeah, I would say it's equally important. Unfortunately, and this is true with anything, whether it's a supplement or skincare, there is no magic out there. If people are looking for a magic potion, they're not going to find it. It still takes some elbow grease. You have to wash your face every day. You have to apply SPF. There's general things that people have to do. Even with my ingredients, the ones that have the in vitro and the in vivo data. Results were only seen after 14 days, 28 days, even better after 56. So you have to put in that effort. You can't, not clean your face, go sleep with makeup and think you're going to apply one serum and there's going to be a drastic change. So it is that absolute like discipline that you also need to adhere to. So, but orally is also very important. I've seen it, like I think we spoke about the eggshell membrane. I've seen firsthand how well that works for your skin as well. A friend of mine lost a lot of weight. We also had a master class on GLP-1 phase, people that lose a lot of weight and lose it quite fast, and how beneficial taking the oral collagen also is, especially the eggshell membrane, because it's absorbed so well. You need a low dosage, and it's got the studies backing its efficacy and everything. So I do think both of them are equally important. And I mean, aging is inflammation. So if you make sure that you take in enough antioxidants and you take your collagen, both of them will actually give good results together. I won't put one over the other one, so I would say they're equally
Yeah,
important.
yeah. I suppose if you're going to smoke, drink, and eat a bad diet, you can't expect skincare to do wonders. You've got to do work on the other side as well.
Yes, perfect. That's true.
Yeah. And just how damaging is alcohol to healthy skin as we age?
Yeah, so I think it boils back down again to alcohol is a type of a toxin. So, and it dehydrates you and it affects
Mm.
your sugar and everything as well and causes inflammation in the body. So, one of the compounds that I've worked with quite extensively because I like running, but I didn't choose my parents well, so I'm not really built for it. And one of the ingredients is palmitoyl ethanolamide, and it works on reducing inflammation and pain in the body and helping you recover faster. And I do believe there's so many studies that they've now shown that it's good for Alzheimer's and these diseases of older people. And I think it's because it reduces inflammation, because that whole thing
Yeah.
of inflammaging, as they call it, is what
Yes.
ages you. So you want to reduce anything that will lead to unchecked inflammation, because I think that's the
Mm.
cornerstone of a lot of diseases and aging as well.
So you mentioned the skin microbiome a little earlier on. I want to go back there because a lot of our listeners understand we have a gut microbiome. We have a microbiome everywhere. What is the skin microbiome?
Yeah, so it's the friendly bacteria that you have on your skin that needs to be in check, and that's why, part of what I tried to do as well was to not use too harsh actives, because I've seen that often as well.
Yeah.
Then people say, okay, well, now I'm starting with a skincare routine and I'm using prescription grade retinol, I'm using alpha hydroxy acids, and they absolutely destroy their skin barrier. They strip it, they maybe
Yeah.
exfoliate too much. You see the redness, the irritation, the peeling. So nothing is actually going to really work unless your skin barrier is healthy. And what I like the most is you get prebiotics, you get probiotics, and then you get postbiotics. So the
Mm.
prebiotics and the probiotics, which is like the live organisms, together they give you a postbiotic, which is much more stable, but also still has those efficiency on your skin. So that's just to keep your skin barrier strong and to make sure that there's no disruption in the friendly bacteria that you have on your skin.
You also mentioned acne. Now we've got, I mean, teenage acne is often hormonally driven. How do you tackle adult acne?
Yeah, so what I found as well, so I think when I started formulating, I've got three pillars. Okay, the first one was simplicity. It had to be very simple. And the second one
Mm.
is science. But then the third one is synergy. So that's actually, if you look at a lot of the actives that I use, so there's a lot of brands that have products that have just one ingredient in a high concentration. But if you
Mm.
look at any of my products, you'll see that there's multiple ingredients. And I chose them so that they have synergy with each other and they actually address quite a lot of different issues. So retinol, we spoke
Mhm.
about retinol. So retinol's great for aging, but it's great for acne as well. And it is
Yeah.
often, people do get prescription retinol as well for acne. So if I look at my retinoid that I have in the creams, it's got studies again on aging, but also on acne. Also, so I would actually address it that way. If people use the
Mm.
system, which is a complete system, 3 steps in the morning, 3 steps at night, it actually helps for aging, but it helps for blackheads, for acne, for all of those things as
Yeah.
well. So, and we have the studies to back it. It depends on what you want to present to people, but it's got in vitro as well as in vivo data and definitely, don't want to say acne because that's such a strong claim, but it is against blemishes and things. But then there's also a South African plant that I brought into the range. So I did my PhD on pelargonium. So I quite like South African plants. It feels like we should be proud of what we have here.
Mm.
So my background is more colds and flu because I worked at Nativa as R&D on Lingtagon.
Ah.
But there is a professor at the University of Pretoria, and I think she's quite innovative. She puts her students from honors level up to PhD just investigating South African plants and looking at the activity that they have in terms of skincare. And there's the South
Yeah.
African mint plant that's actually got quite a lot of data on anti-acne activity. I think they've even patented it as well. So I brought that in a serum as well, again, because it does have the data. It's proudly South African. Like sometimes
Yes.
it's much better to locally source some of these specialized ingredients instead of
Absolutely.
paying a lot of money for overseas ingredients. And yeah, we actually have a lot of plants and things here, and they are absolute experts. They look at all these plants and their
Yeah.
activity, and then they go through all these battery of tests. So it was really nice to just bring in a South African plant. So the range or the ingredients that I have is mostly biotech, but then there's one serum for, like teenage acne or blemishes is then a South African plant with a patent on in terms of its activity in conjunction with a few other things. Again, also a
Yeah.
prebiotic and vitamin B3, but it is nice to just have a proudly South African plant in there as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Are these products safe to use with someone who's on an Accutane, for example?
Um, Yeah, you wouldn't actually do that. I think because if they are on prescription medication, you would actually just want to um yeah, I would you want to keep their barrier because they'll be very dry. We had a cream that we used for that as well, but there's no drug interactions or things like that. But yeah, I would actually say that they probably for the duration not use anything with actives on their skin because they would be very, very dry. So you won't be able to exfoliate. But the retinoid
Yeah.
should be fine. So they could use the balancing moisturizer or the restorative actually because it's got extra ceramides just for extra moisture. But yeah, on that point, one thing that is important to mention is that um, with the retinoid that I have in the creams, is that it's safe during pregnancy and lactation, which is great as well because you often have ladies that have babies, and then with all those hormonal shifts and everything as well, they might be getting additional pimples or battling, or they just want to really look after themselves. So it is nice to know that they can use it while pregnant or even when breastfeeding.
And I also think, we're becoming more and more aware of the chemicals that are in off over the counter skincare and body creams, toothpaste, sulfates, these things that we are learning accumulate in our detoxification system that might or might not cause problems down the line. What are your thoughts? What are the red flags when it comes to looking at a product on shelf and making a decision? Should I be putting this on my skin? Because there's people out there say that, if you can't eat it, don't put it on your skin. I think that's a reach. But there's some kernel of truth in that thinking. What are your thoughts around those sorts of products?
Yeah, so I've got actually quite a strong opinion on that. So, for me, one thing that I absolutely hate, and especially because I was working as a formulator or supplement formulator for
Yeah.
so long, is if people jump on this natural bandwagon, saying that these products are completely natural and this and
Yeah.
that. And for me, as a scientist, I could never understand what they're actually saying. Because the majority of things do come from a lab, and it is not something that you get from your garden. And if somebody's mixing stuff on their own accord in their garage, then I would definitely not want to be one of their consumers buying those products. So for me, it's all about the efficacy and the safety as well. So again, with my ingredients that I source, they're all biotech based. They come with in vitro and in vivo data. They're all vegan as well. So they're safe to use. But they are microalgae based. But if people say they
Mm,
use something natural, I mean, like, what does that even mean? And not all natural stuff is either effective or even tested,
mm,
or I mean, there are some natural things that are very toxic to you. And for me personally, people make such a big thing about it. So I've got no harmful ingredients in my range, but I'm definitely not going to
of
have a
course.
cream or a thing without any type of preservative system, because then you're going to have micro growing there and you're actually just going to create more havoc. So I have a bigger problem if people put things together and they say it's natural and then people think, okay, well, it means it's good and it means that it's effective. I would rather say,
Right.
and that's why I always say my skincare range is a functional
Mm,
skincare range. I don't play in the naturals
mm,
sphere. It means that every ingredient that I have in there is tested. It comes with a COA. You know exactly what you're getting. It's got in vitro and in vivo data, and it will give you results. And it's obviously safe as well, versus
Sure.
somebody that puts something in there, whatever the flavor of the month is, they make it themselves, and then they say that, yeah, these ingredients are natural, or it's a natural skincare range. There's a lot of them around, but then they have no data. So they chose some other random ingredient, which they now say is natural. They put it in their range, and they're missing some things because, like you also said, you know that you need a SPF, know that you need a retinol, you know that you need an antioxidant. So now you take one plant or product, whatever, put it in the range, you say it's natural. And for me, I come from a GMP environment. So if it's not manufactured in a GMP factory with procedures in place, then I really don't want to be using it. You know, for me, that's a non-negotiable.
No, it makes complete sense. So you're going to be exhibiting at the Organic Natural Expo coming up now. Are you going to be at the Cape Town show?
Yes, I'm going to be at the Cape Town show, yes.
Our listeners can find you. What dates are the show this year? It's coming up soon.
Yes, so we're actually traveling there tomorrow and it's from the 17th until the 19th of April.
Okay, great. Hopefully we'll have this episode up and running before then. And where else can people who are listening find you and explore more about your masterclasses and your products, Joan?
Yeah, so we've actually had a whole project now for updating the website. So it's www.vitant.co.za. There they can find all information on the combos, the products, the ingredients. And then if they have a look or look for my Facebook page, they'll see that we advertise the weekly masterclasses, and they're free. They're always on a Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. And it's different topics every week. Skincare, but we're doing supplements as well. So then there they can just register, but the link is usually part of the ad as well.
Okay, great. I'm so glad that you're doing an educational series because it's power empowerment. The more we know, the better we can make better choices for ourselves.
Yeah, that's true. And I love doing that. So I thought, there's a lot of things that people don't know, and it feels as a formulator, you need to at least educate them. So it's not so much about just punching products. It's about empowering them to really be able to look at their own products and say, okay, this doesn't really make sense, or why did I do this? Or just for common misconceptions that are out there, because I have realized that people do believe the hype. So it's actually been very popular, these master classes. So people are very hungry for knowledge.
Thank you so much, Joan. I'm going to put all of your links in our show notes, and let's get the word out there and have a wonderful time in Cape Town.
Thank you so much. Thanks for today as well. I really appreciate it. It was lovely meeting you.
If this episode made you rethink your skincare routine or question what's actually sitting on your bathroom shelf, hit subscribe and please share it with those who you care about. We're building conversations that cut through the noise and give you real usable insight. And if you want to explore the human side of what we consume, from food to culture to identity, go and check out South African Food Stories. Because whether it's what you put on your skin or what you put on your plate, the principle is the same. Simplicity, quality, and understanding what actually works.